Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Quick warning and information before we begin. In today's first story, there is mention of mental health issues that take a life. So if that is something that might make you uncomfortable, you might want to skip the first story, but also know that the second story has an update as well. Now let's get started. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Throwaway6F63. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to get off her ass? My wife 36 female and I 36 male have always had similar life goals and been relatively on the same page in terms of what we both want for ourselves and each other over the 15 years we've been together. We both have master's degrees in our respective fields and have worked very hard to buy a home, purchase a duplex to rent out and build our lives. We have both been very frugal and conscientious about money. Then, about a year ago, she lost her job due to downsizing in her company. She decided she wanted to be a homemaker after this happened and deal with our tenants and household affairs. We don't have any children, so really all she would have to do is clean the house, collect rent checks, and call the plumber or something if there is an issue, either at the rental property or ours. We weren't necessarily struggling for money at this point, so if this is how she decides she wants to spend her time, I'll support her. The issue is that she doesn't do any of these things. Either she will spend the entire day watching television and browsing the internet, or go out shopping and spend exuberant amounts of money. I'm not exaggerating when it comes to how much she's been spending. A brand new fancy car, tons of expensive high-end clothes with brand names from Europe I hadn't even heard of, a bunch of fancy gadgets and whatever else. We weren't high-rolling it before, just living relatively comfortably, and all this spending has put a financial strain on things. On top of this, she isn't doing any of the things she said she wanted to do as a homemaker. I cleaned the entire house, deal with the issues at the rental, and searched for a new tenant. All of the things we once shared responsibility for and she said she would completely handle after losing her job, I have been taking care of. I have been concerned about this, as it's unlike her and a dramatic shift in her behavior. I tried asking if something is wrong and she said everything is fine. I tried telling her I'm a bit concerned and suggested seeing a therapist and that we could even go in together, but she refused. 2 nights ago, I came home late after working for 12 hours and found that the house was an even bigger mess than when I left, and there was a huge pile of new clothes she bought sitting in the living room that she spent $7,000 on. I saw a notification from the credit card company on my phone about 10 minutes before walking through the door. I broke down. I lost it. I told her, I don't know what the F is happening or going on with her, but she needs to get off her ass to either get a job to pay for all of this, go to therapy, or stop spending so much and do what she promised after she decided not to go back to work. This is after a year of me trying to talk to her about whatever the heck is going on, and I just reached a breaking point. She left to go to her mother's, and my mother-in-law has been texting me non-stop, calling me a bad husband and a piece of garbage, and my wife hasn't been returning my calls. I think I might be the a-hole. I was probably too harsh with my wife. I think she is going through something that she won't open up about. I've tried talking to her, I've tried being understanding, but I just lost it. I know it wasn't right to fly off the handle a bit and that I should try to be more supportive. I just reached a breaking point, and at this moment I have no idea what to do or how to move forward. I think her mother is enabling her by not seeing any of this stuff going on as an issue. I don't know how to change things or bring them back to normal. The financial strain from all of this is becoming increasingly hard to manage, and our marriage has been suffering because of all of this over the past year. Wow, OP, well, first things first, I don't think you're the a-hole because you've tried everything and you can just do so much before you break. I absolutely get it. It's been a year of this whole thing and you've tried every way to get through to her, but she just won't open up. Now, I understand that it's not alright to lose your cool with your spouse. However, you just called her out and she left, unless you're leaving something out of the story like you started screaming at her or breaking things in the house, which I don't think that you did because you sound like a pretty good husband from what you're telling us. So yeah, OP, I would definitely not call you the a-hole in this situation. Now, regarding your wife, like you say, she is definitely going through something. She sounds like she's depressed and she's using spending as some sort of coping mechanism. The problem is, you can't really help someone who doesn't want to help themselves, so I'm guessing you've got one last thing to do. Now, it sounds like your mother-in-law is an a-hole because she's just calling you a piece of garbage without actually asking you what's going on. But in the case that's just a one-off thing and she actually cares about you as a family, maybe you should talk to her and tell her everything that's been going on, and between the both of you, talk to your wife to get her into therapy. Other than that, I'd be kinda stumped. And what do you guys think? What is your judgment, or what would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Dancing Chinese Kid says, not the a-hole. $7,000 on clothes is a middle finger to you and to your marriage. People are telling you to be nicer, and you should, but you need to be a lot more rigid and firm about your expectations. Perhaps I could have been kinder in how I phrased things, and I apologize for any rudeness. However, $7,000 on clothes without discussion is a slap on the face and an open disrespect. It's unacceptable behavior. I will not apologize for demanding either the return of these clothes and a refund, or that she get a job to pay for them. Love the sinner, hate the sin. IKEA Winter says, not the a-hole. She buys everything she's ever wanted, but yet still something is wrong. Is she blowing through your savings or putting your mortgage at risk? You may need to talk to a lawyer if she's not even willing to talk to a counselor. I'd go over to mother-in-law's house to talk to your wife about how it's fine if she doesn't work, but since she's doing absolutely nothing, that is the problem. $7,000 on clothes would lead me to get a lawyer, but it sounds like you're in a different pay bracket, as my max would be $2,000 if it was just spontaneous shopping. Is she seeing someone behind my back? I'd check the cell phone records and any house cameras. What the F is she doing all day? If nothing comes up there, then it's either going to counseling together or seeing what you can do to help, and then time for a lawyer. I'd want to talk to the mother-in-law to see what your wife even told her, but then I'd never picture my mother-in-law calling me garbage. Cute Phrase 9630 says, not the a-hole. I am in the same boat as your wife. Our story is a little different. I have 3 kids from a previous relationship and he had one that's in college. We are in our mid to late 30s now, but I lost my job a year and a half ago and he did too, but found a job the same week making more money and more overtime. We live comfortably as well, but I do less now than I did when I was working. I would work 40 hours, cook 5 nights a week, big dinner on Sunday, clean, do laundry, and do the running around and house shopping. Now, I only run the kids around and sit on my ass. I noticed that all I thought about was all these missed opportunities, things I've always wanted to do and haven't done yet. Will I have the chance to do it? Seems silly, but it took a huge toll on my mental health. My relationship hasn't been what it was, and that also weighs on me, but never speak about it. Maybe look at things from her perspective. Did she want children? Is your relationship not the same? You're not the a-hole, but try to look at things differently before you go yelling at her again. And OP responds, thank you, I'll try thinking on this. Throughout our relationship, we never wanted kids, and I actually had a vasectomy a few years ago. But yes, a month or so ago, she did say something along the lines of, do you think we would make good parents? I hadn't really considered this having any real significance, and at the time just thought it was a hypothetical. Maybe there's more to it along with everything else. Additional information from OP's comments. I'm calling the bank today and setting limits on everything, and then I'll talk to her once she's willing to talk to me. There haven't been any new expenses since she left besides an order to a local takeout place. I think it has reached the point where we're maxed out. This is the first time in my life I've ever been in a net negative in terms of savings and debt. Not even in college, as I joined the National Guard to pay for school. And regarding my vasectomy and becoming parents, I didn't freeze or save anything. Maybe once this is all done, we can talk about options, maybe adoption, or have my brother as a sperm donor. For those of you wondering, there is no mental health history with her personally. However, her sister was manic depressive and completely unhinged towards the end before she took her life about 10 years ago. A very sad and horrible thing, but that's about the extent of mental illness in her family to my knowledge. I just want my wife back as her personality has shifted a bit as well. Our plans to buy another rental are out the window for quite some time now. Our savings have dwindled to a fraction of what they were, and we had been saving a lot beforehand to buy another rental property down the road once the housing market goes down again. I have a decent job, but I don't make enough to sustain this. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole. and some of them actually offered additional perspectives that OP could take a look at. We also did get some context from OP relating some mental health issues in his wife's family, although he thinks has nothing to do with his wife. Maybe there's something there. Anyways, it's time for us to move on to the update to see how this story ends, but of course it's also that time where I say, here's another playlist, please check it out after this video. Now, let's move on to the update. I just thought I'd write a quick follow-up to my previous post. Things have improved. As many of you suspected, my wife told her mother a completely different story than what happened. When I spoke to my mother-in-law, she was immediately concerned about my wife's behavior. My sister-in-law, who is no longer with us, struggled with a manic depressive disorder for many years, and after a long period of spiraling and frightening behavior, she was no more. My mother-in-law knows how devastating and serious mental illness can be, and immediately encouraged my wife to speak to a therapist. My mother-in-law and I worked together over the next few days to find something for her. At first, my wife refused, but with me and her mother both saying she needed to recognize she needed help, she eventually accepted. We had our first counseling session this week, and we went in together. Even though it may be hard to say since we both just started therapy, I think things seem promising, considering the therapist told me privately that we are all making the best steps to try and help my wife. But I should monitor my expectations and not think everything will go back to normal at once. He said that this is all a process, and the process will be ongoing for a while. However, my wife made some big steps. We returned or are in the process of selling the majority of everything she's bought over the past year. Even though she didn't even use most of it, separating herself from these items was something difficult for her, and I'm immensely proud of her for doing the right thing. Some of you were also right that she may be having second thoughts about my vasectomy and may want to have a kid. I told her that we should focus on her recovery for now, but once that happens, we can start talking about options. Of course, we don't expect to have a child anytime soon. She knows that our finances have changed a lot, and we both agreed we wanted to get back to where we were before and buy a second tenement building. We had a long talk and essentially came to the conclusion that babies aren't something we will consider until she is better and our lives are completely back in order. I have set alerts on all my cards and accounts, so if she goes into another spending spree, I can shut the cards down again if I have to. I also told my brother about what's been going on. He called me a dumbass for not thinking I could come and talk to him about anything. We had a big hug and had a long talk over a few beers. Even though things aren't perfect, this is the first time things have been looking up in a long time. Alright OP, this is great. I'm gonna call this a totally positive update on its way to being happy, because even though you guys aren't out of the woods yet, there are definitely some positive things going on. And you've also taken pretty good measures just in case things get derailed a little bit. So I would say congratulations are in order. You didn't burn your marriage, you saw that there was a problem and you tried everything to do to get it back on track, and apparently it's working out. So good for you. And all that there's left to say is, here's wishing you and your wife all the best in the future. Take care OP and thank you for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user GeneralNothing5798. Am I the a-hole for not wishing my mom a happy birthday and then not letting her come to our house? I, 25 male, have a wife, 24 female. Let's call her Amelia. Amelia and I got married 2 years ago, coming up to 3 years in June. We have recently just had our first baby, a beautiful baby girl. My mom never was a huge fan of my wife for reasons I will never know, but I don't care as I love Amelia so much and I've had to defend her against my mom multiple times. My wife's labor lasted much longer than we expected. She started on Thursday evening and delivered our baby on Monday during the very early hours of the morning. As you can imagine, it was a long process and she was exhausted, and so was I, as I wasn't sleeping unless she was asleep. My mom's birthday was on Saturday and she had a whole party planned out. Amelia at this point was in awful pain very consistently, meaning I was constantly by her side doing whatever she needed me to do. Meaning that Friday night we got no sleep, so when Saturday came around we both were fighting the sleep and could barely stay awake. Because of this, I just completely forgot it was my mom's birthday, as I didn't really look much at my phone, and if I did, it would be for entertainment for my wife and me together. We both agreed beforehand that when the time came, we would send the initial text that the baby was coming, but that would be it, and we wouldn't respond to any other text until after. Well, my baby girl was finally born and we announced it to our family. Then I got to reply to my messages from the past few days, and that's when I saw my mom's text about it being her birthday, and she sent a few more after expressing her anger for me not getting in contact. So I called her up apologizing but explaining that I genuinely forgot and it wasn't intentional. She went on to blame my wife by saying she purposely went into labor right around her birthday in order to steal her spotlight from her son, which I found really weird to say. From this comment alone, I got annoyed and just told her to leave me and my wife alone and that she isn't welcome at our house for the next few days. She can wait till she's over her fit to see her granddaughter. My whole family has been calling me an a-hole and that I'm a bad son for not remembering my mom's birthday. But I'm an even worse son for not letting her meet her grandbaby. It's annoying because all we want to do is enjoy our new baby together, just the two of us, without anyone being a bother. So, am I the a-hole? Well, in my opinion, no, you are nowhere near an a-hole here. Your wife was in labor and she must have gone through hell. It was what, 3 to 4 days? Man, tip of the hat to her, man. And you, well, you were doing whatever you could to help your wife. I'm pretty sure any woman that has gone through labor probably understands what you guys were going through. And I'm going to assume that your mom gave birth to you unless you're adopted, but I don't know. Anyway, that comment she made wasn't weird, it was creepy. She decided to go into labor. Did she induce it? I'm guessing not. Around your mom's birthday just to take the spotlight away from her son? Nah man, that's creepy all the way. So yeah, OP, I don't think you're the a-hole and I think you actually set some pretty proper boundaries with your mom. Now, your family badgering you and calling you an a-hole? I personally don't like it when family members just stick their noses in other people's business because they're family. But maybe they don't know the full story. Still, they shouldn't be sticking their noses in other people's business. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? Let me know in the comment section what your judgment is, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Pinebox Waiting says, not the a-hole. It's cute that your mom thinks your wife is talented enough to go into labor on command. It's bizarre that you're the only person in your family who realizes the world doesn't revolve around your mom. Keep to your boundaries, daddy, and congratulations. And Dopey responds, I mean, I know my wife's amazing and all, but she isn't that talented to go into labor on command. But thank you so much. BK Worm Trisha says, not the a-hole. Your mom should have understood when you told her you were with your wife in labor, not been bitching and accusing. Tell or message your mom that after how she stupidly insulted your wife, specify that she accused your wife of choosing to go into labor to damage mom's birthday party. You will need an apology from her to your wife in person and on social media, and CC that request to all the family. Boblet Drew says, wow, it's rather amazing to see that your mother has gotten so much buy-in for her narcissistic behavior. You are doing right by your family. Set stone walls up around behavior and words and guard them zealously, not the a-hole. And OP responds, yes, I always will. My family comes before my mother. I'm going to raise my daughter to know that her own family comes before me and her mom always. Alright, well the community understands that obviously OP is not the a-hole and they applaud the boundaries that he's set. Also, one thing I left out of my commentary that I forgot is congratulations to you and your wife on the birth of your daughter. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hi, firstly I wanted to say thank you to everyone for your advice. It really made me realize how serious this situation is. I took the advice and decided to post an Instagram and Facebook post before my mom got a chance to do it herself. In the post I mentioned what my wife went through and purposely left in that she would never want to forcefully go through that, just to make it clear to my mom and family what the truth is. We announced that whilst we soak up our newborn, uninvited guests won't be allowed into our home, so please respect our privacy as we take time as a new family. This worked, and I got a lot of friends and even some family commenting their congrats. My mom has since asked when she can see her granddaughter, and we have just said that she will see her when she fixes her attitude toward my wife, as my baby won't grow up to see her mother treated like she is nothing. Also, the fact that my wife never deserved to be hated in the first place. So, we are going no contact for now and are as happy as we could ever be with our new baby girl. Regarding my family, we have sent them a message with the full story, and now they feel really awful about everything. Originally, my mom told them that my wife got induced and that she took some medicine to slow down the labor. I don't even think that medication exists. Because apparently, that's what I said on the phone, which is obviously not the truth. And my mom started claiming I did that to compete with her. My sisters are young and didn't question my mom, but now have been nothing but supportive. That being said though, I still have my guard up for now, just in case. Thank you then again for your advice and all your kind words to me and my wife. We really appreciate it. Heart. What? Your wife took medicine to slow down the labor? Sorry mom, but that sounds like the most stupid big pharma business model that could ever exist. So I hear you're going through a lot of pain due to a natural process. How about we make that longer? Here, take this medicine. Thanks for sharing, OP, and all the best to you, your wife, and your newly born daughter. Take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.